The hosts of Fox and Friends came out of the weekend feeling like it was their duty to defend Kanye West, whose Twitter account had been locked over some of the comments he made. And here is how they chose to defend him.
And we're in this weird era where people can't just say what they want to say and take responsibility, for what they said, whether it's with the sale of his shirts or his companies, whatever. But this idea that you have to just shut down his account is just, it's totally totalitarian, totally anti-American. And I think it's just wrong.
I don't know what he said. Maybe it was
that's what I understand.
Anti-Semitic.
You should clear that up, though.
Listen, I'm no fan of anti-Semitism at all.
Of course.
But the question you have to ask yourself is, would he have been restricted on Instagram if he hadn't given the Tucker Carlson interview?
So let's be very clear. This is not the most difficult job in the world. The bar is very low to do it. But I've always felt like you should probably read the tweet before you do the segment. And they're gonna discover that in real time, because while their instinct, their gut reaction was, we gotta defend him. Oh, even though we don't like anti-Semitism, turns out that during one of the breaks, someone printed out the tweet for them. And so they came back and their commentary was a little bit different. Take a look.
Thank you.
Unfortunate. I mean, there's no,
pretty ugly.
It's ugly.
Yeah.
And but we talked about it earlier without knowing about these tweets and saying, of course, they're gonna put a target after what he said with Tucker. There's gonna be a target on him, no doubt. Yeah. But in this particular case, I mean, he brought the target with that.
Yeah, in a similar way that you brought the target for us mocking you, Pete Hegseth, because the tweet was more than a day old, and by its very nature, it's less than 280 characters. Maybe you could have actually read it before knee-jerk defending a guy who was facing claims like from the ADL that he was being wildly anti-Semitic. Dan, what do you think?
Again, he was being anti-Semitic in the Tucker Carlson interview on your network. So there's, other than the fact that, yeah, he really is that lazy at his job that a lot of these media people are, and I'll say that's a fact. It does, when you get good at this, I would not say by any means I am. I would definitely say you are, John. But when you get good at this, other people who are like watching these shows, they honestly think that you just like wake up, you just pay attention to news, you just start talking about it. No, there's a lot of prep. There's a wonderful production team behind us that's making all this happen, that make us all like sound really smart to know these things. It helps to have a passing knowledge of this, but because like 3 or 4 of us in independent media have integrity still, wouldn't comment on anything on camera and upload that video without knowing what's going on it, especially if I wouldn't comment on air even saying, oh, I haven't read these things before, but I'm going to double down on it, because then you're just nakedly showing I'm not reading, I just have a preconceived notion with this. And the narrative they're trying to build is that Fox News, the beacon of free speech, whatever Ye is saying, rightfully or wrongfully, but especially rightfully if it's the anti-Semitism, which, to be fair, in the Fox host defense, he says he's not a fan of it. And I'm not a fan of anti-Semitism either. I'm a Chargers fan, I like the Clippers. Anti-Semitism, not so much. But it's all to go within their narrative that they are the free speech bastions, and they use that as a cover for all of their bigotry that you're really seeing mask off more than usual this week.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.